Hello, welcome to another YouTube video. I've been a bit out of action the last few weeks because I was on vacation and then I caught COVID, so hence the lack of weekly video, but I'm back, and I guess after my COVID experience, I think I'm going to talk about the nervous system today, and how the nervous system relates to our chronic pain experience, how the different aspects of the nervous system. So we've got the sympathetic nervous system, which is coming into effect in emergencies, i.e., very simple example, a lion comes your way, and your sympathetic nervous system kicks in, your heart starts to race, you have this insatiable sense to jump into action, i.e., run the hell away from the lion. And you've got the parasympathetic nervous system, which is often called the sort of rest and digest, i.e. the relaxation, the part of our bodily system that brings us to a space of rest that can help us lower our heart rate. So think doing some lying down on a yoga mat or on your bed, just kind of half awake, breathing deeply, bringing a relaxed sense to yourself. So yeah, in light of having COVID, I guess the first aspect, the sympathetic nervous system, and I guess, you know, how that experience felt for me in my body, because I'm sure, although there will be some common symptoms, my sense was when I was going through the worst of COVID that the way my body reacted, my nervous system, and my history with chronic muscle spasms and muscle pain, I guess it kind of reignited some of the same issues that I've had over the years with chronic pain and chronic muscle tension. You know, I was getting muscle spasms when I was in fever, getting you know, chest tightness. It's a very, you know, when our sympathetic nervous system kicks in, it's basically our brain and our body and our system is protecting our internal organs. So it's very common to sort of brace yourself when you're in fear. So muscles and tendons and ligaments can all become tight and tense while the body is reacting to a threat, essentially. So the virus, COVID, is a threat. Our body says, I don't like this threat, and then the nervous system kicks in because there's also, you know, a sense of fear around it, and your body's essentially fighting off the germs and the so-called enemy of the virus. I guess, you know, your question might be, how does this relate to sort of chronic pain, and, you know, your particular chronic condition? The answer I have for that is the response your nervous system has is unique to you. Yes, there are some similarities in relation to how our bodies respond to threat, but we all have a unique response, mostly based on our experiences when we were younger, you know. So if we found ourselves with a tight chest, or you know, kind of that feeling to cower when we were younger, be it at home, be it at school, be it in whatever situation you were in, it's likely those same responses, the same nervous system responses to fear, that sense of tension, that sense of you know, sometimes wanting to run away or whatever it might be, will be almost magnified when you're going through a stressful situation. You know, so my stressful situation recently was COVID, but any stressful situation that we're in that creates a sense of anxiety, or especially fear, then our nervous system will kick in and try and essentially protect us, because that's the job of our nervous system. If we're under threat, things change in our body, and the unfortunate thing is that if these feelings of threat continue, let's take for example after COVID, if I am still scared of some of these sensations in my body after COVID, like the tightness in my chest for instance, and it's very common. It's been about 2.5-3 weeks since I had COVID. If I take that anxiety around the sensations in my body, then my nervous system will begin to react when there is no actual threat. It becomes a perceived threat, and this is where this chronic pain link comes in. Because if we get stuck in a sense of perceived threat, i.e., I feel a bit of tension and tightness, or my heart rate goes up, and then suddenly my nervous system kicks in and goes, shit, I remember what happened last time. There's a threat. There's danger around. Let's shut down. Your psoas muscle, so your lower abdominal muscles might tense up really tightly, and you might think, fuck, I feel like I'm in a freeze, because when you're afraid, you can be in a freeze response. People talk about fight and flight, but there's also freeze. So your body can essentially start to shut down a little bit and feel super tight. If I take that forward from COVID, if I take that feeling like, oh my god, my chest is really bad, I don't know if I'm going to get better, and put all this fear attached to it, then there is the potential for symptoms and sensations to trouble us for longer than the actual virus is sitting in our body. And that's just one example to do with COVID. I mean, because it was recent for me. This can be the same example if you're scared as a kid, if you get shouted at as a kid and you're afraid, or you're bullied and you're afraid and you don't have the strength to fight back, then we often go into our shell, and we can take that forward in our life, and we can struggle to free ourselves, because every time we feel the same sense of anxiety in our system, we shut down in the same way, and it can be really confusing, and it can be really troubling. And nervous system health is an extremely important aspect of healing from chronic pain, whatever that might be for yourself. Mine, back pain, muscle tension, etc. That's what I specialize in supporting people with, but it's not limited just to that. And moving on to the parasympathetic nervous system, this aspect of rest and digest, i.e. the part of our system and part of our body and our brain that brings us to a state of relaxation. This is the part of our nervous system that we need to work on practicing, moving into. So if we spent a lot of our time in anxiety in our life, especially with chronic pain, muscle tensions, fear of sensations in our body, feeling super triggered, easily triggered, on edge, constantly feeling somehow in a sense of a victim mode, like my back is always hurting, or blah blah blah, we become habitualized. So we're in the habit of feeling the pain and being afraid of our own bodily sensations. So the idea is to move from the aspect of our nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system, i.e. I'm here to protect you when you're in danger, to the parasympathetic. I'm here to help you relax and be calm with your surroundings. You can add whatever description you want, essentially. And a way to do that is step by step. Because breathing into our body, sometimes being still can be extremely troubling if your nervous system is kind of jacked up and ready to protect you at all times. The idea of being still is actually quite scary. I had that problem for so long, and I still am a bit challenged with it as I move on this journey, become comfortable with my own bodily sensations after 25 odd years of tweaking out and having a jacked up nervous system that essentially makes life more difficult than it should be. In some respects it should be, you know. So to close off, my suggestion would be to practice recognizing when your sympathetic nervous system, your fight, flight, freeze response comes in. It could be a tightness in your chest that suddenly comes through a movement. It could be your back suddenly squeezes when you have a bit of anxiety. When you're stressed, your pain might get worse. That is often also a sign that there's a mind-body connection to the pain in your body. And the idea is to slowly move towards the parasympathetic nervous system. So practicing being with the sensations with a sense of mindfulness, using your breath to slow down, thinking more kind and relaxed thoughts. You can use imagery. You can imagine yourself sitting next to a calm lake, for instance, if you begin to get overwhelmed, or if you want to try a bit of sort of quasi meditation visualization just to sort of help, because we've got many tools in here and in our heart as well, where we can I guess utilize our understanding of the body and our understanding that, you know, it's important for us to help ourselves relax. If like me, you've suffered with any sort of chronic pain condition, the idea to help us relax and support ourselves is extremely important, but it's also very difficult. So you know, in light of that and nervous system health, I'll leave that there. I wish you luck. If you have also had COVID and recovered, well done. It's pretty heavy. If you're suffering from challenges with an overactive nervous system, you know, doing slow breathing and relaxation techniques, you know, these things can take time to really feel like you're settling in naturally. But over time they do work, and we have to be brave, and we have to trust the process and know that it is possible to change these things. But for some people, your nervous system might have been super jacked up for a long time, so you have to be patient, and you have to allow for setbacks and frustrations to be there, but then step forward and move in again. So if you want to heal, practice bringing yourself into the relaxation state. Notice your triggers, and if you are able to respond to those triggers in a bit more of a rounded manner, you know, moving to a quiet space for a minute or two just to help yourself calm down, and you know, take it from there. So good luck. I'll see you in the next one, and yeah, take care. Ciao.